So, yeah, I mean, there's a historical answer to this. The current state, the world in which most people grow up now since the 40s or so, is that babies come home from hospitals. That's where they arrive.
And let's talk about that a little bit, the hospital versus home. Because in many countries, in fact, that have quite better infant and maternal mortality rates than we do, have quite a significant percentage of home births, like
Yeah.
the Netherlands, a lot of different European countries. And I'm wondering if you could talk more about how different the setting can be. You mentioned a little bit that when we do it in a hospital, it's hard to think of birth as anything but a medical or surgical process. Describe how different it is in the home.
It's one of those things where I just wish, at one of your segments you show some birth films. It's really helpful to see this. You move at the woman's own pace. You don't have to mesh her pace with an institutional pace. Nobody's waiting for that room. She doesn't have to wait for a room to be prepared.
And you're not surrounded by equipment either. So there's a real aura. I mean, you're not thinking in medical terms. You're thinking, I'm in my bedroom, I'm in my bed, I'm with my friends, I'm with whoever I invited. It's a very different mindset.
Absolutely. And the sense of personal control over personal space. A lot of animals seek privacy when they birth. I mean, we know that anybody who's ever had a cat knows that you would not walk in there, pick up a birthing cat, move it to the kitchen table, put a light over its head, and expect this birth to continue nicely. And I think there's something of that in us too. It's very hard to birth being watched.
And especially being watched by strangers. And one thing, and I've been to births in hospitals, and it's interesting because everyone comes in and out of the birthing room.
Right.
Even the janitor empties the wastebasket.
It's not your space.
Right. And medical students are coming in, and so even if you think, well, my doctor will be there, your doctor really isn't there.
There's lots of people in and out, and it's just a loss of privacy, it's a loss of control over space. And there's no way to be sitting there in a hospital room in hospital clothes with a little band on your arm and not think you're a patient. So it really does shift that. And when you're a patient, you expect people to take care of you. And there is kind of nurturing and taking care of that goes on. But this is going to sound irrelevant. Okay, let me give you a story for a minute. One time I was living in the Netherlands. And I just had a Fulbright there, and I was there for a few months. And I had my teenage daughter with me at the time. And we had this place we had to get from one place to another, and we had 3 people and 2 bikes. And so the person I was with, my Dutch friend, wanted my daughter Leah to jump on the back of the bike. And the way you do that is you sort of start rolling, and somebody jumps on the back. And yeah, right, said Leah. And she just felt she couldn't do it, so Annemiek said, oh, okay, then you sit on the bike, I'll run, and then I'll jump on. And it took them like a half an hour. And I was going to intervene, and then I thought, just shut up, stay in the back. I'll just make this worse. And Leah's like, I'm just stupid, and I can't, and just total 14 meltdown. And Annemiek kept saying, sure you can. And Leah's saying, but my thigh is getting cut by the sea. Annemiek rolls a towel underneath her. And I watched this. And there was a moment at which Annemiek had her hand on Leah's thigh. And she was stroking her face and saying, it's no big deal. You can do this. And if you can't, we'll work it out, you know. And I realized Annemiek is a midwife. And she's practicing midwifery. And later, because I was thinking, oh, my God, there must be a cab in this country somewhere. You know, like, there's got to be another way to get where we're going. And that evening, I said to Annemiek, you know, that I saw this and I had this insight of your midwifery skills. And she laughed and said, yes, she's on a bike. And then, like, a little while later, said, you know, you're right. It never occurred to me, Dutch bike all the time, it never occurred to me that Annemiek could be afraid of a bike. But yeah, clearly the child was afraid of the bike. It was a challenge for her. I've seen a million people do it. I know it's doable. Yes, it's my midwifery skills. You could nurture to weakness. You could say, you don't have to do this. We can take a cab, and there's another way to get there. And the kid would have gotten where she was going. I don't know that Leah's going to be jumping on backs of bikes, but she has become a really strong cyclist. She's not afraid of bikes. She does bike around. She learned to trust her body. She learned she could do things she couldn't imagine doing. She became a stronger person. It's a minor thing, was riding a bike. Birthing is a major thing. You're about to become a mother. You could nurture to someone's weakness and say, oh, this is going to hurt. You don't need this. Pushing could be hard. Maybe it'll take you a long time. let me just slice you open and take care of it and wake you up when it's over or whatever. I could do this for you and take care of you and nurture to your weakness. Or I could say, I know you can do this. I know how you can do this. Let me help you through it. I'm not leaving you alone. I'll work with you. I'll teach you.
Now, that is such an interesting point, because what we think about, if there's one word that we ascribe to birth in the U.S., it's pain. This is painful. This is going to be difficult. This is going to be, and you're talking about it. And the midwife in the Netherlands that you're talking about and that you described really is putting up very positive, you can do this, this is how you do it, this is doable.
Yeah.
It's a very different conversation.
It really isn't. Of course there's pain in birth. I've done it, it hurts. It doesn't hurt like, I had a corneal abrasion once, I've broken my ankle. There are things in life, I've had abdominal surgery, there are things in life that hurt way more than giving birth. And during those times when I had my ankle broken, get the pain pills and wake me when it's over. The birth, there's pain, but there are moments of pain in, do you ever watch a runner? They look like they're suffering. It's like, why are you doing this? You hurt. Why should you do this? But the pain isn't what they're working on. Yes, it hurts at the end of a marathon. In sex, sometimes things hurt. But when you're engaged in other activity that's important, that's exciting, that you care about, you can experience pain, and that's not the only or even the most important thing happening.
Let's talk about what birth feels like for a minute, because that's a conversation that most Americans don't have, and even women don't have with each other. And it was startling to me when no one prepared me for the fact during labor that during the first stage, as your cervix is opening up, that I think is the part that everyone describes as painful. It definitely hurts, but yet it's very, it's rhythmic, and it's not like you're in constant pain.
It stops. That's really, that's the beauty of that system. It's waves of pain, and most people can manage almost anything if they know it's going to stop in a minute. So the fact that it hurts and then it stops and it hurts and then it stops, you can learn to ride that and work with that and get through that.
And then second stage, and this I was totally unprepared for, it feels completely different than first stage. Right. Once the cervix is totally opened up, then the uterus starts acting like a piston to push the baby out, and it's a completely different sensation.
Right.
And I wouldn't even describe that as painful at all, would you?
Not from my experience. Some people, anything could hurt anybody under any circumstances.
Sure.
If you're lying flat on your back with your legs up in the air and trying to push uphill with people watching you, I don't know, maybe it does hurt more. If you're in a comfortable position, a squat, or some upright position, you're working with gravity and pushing the baby out, I said it felt more like moving a grand piano across the room. It was hard work. It was heavy and hard, but you could feel it move. It was kind of a satisfying, grunting, groaning, working thing.
And you make all these noises that it is so startling that it's coming out of your own mouth, and it's involuntary, and you're just thinking, that's coming out of me. And I think
some women, not all women. Some women make a lot of noise, some women don't.
But that's what people see on television, I think, and that's what people think, oh my goodness, that's the most...
Well, actually, there was, I can't give you the site off the top of my head, maybe you will be able to find it, but there was a study a long time ago that asked 3 people to rate points of most pain: the woman birthing, her husband who was with her, and the obstetrician. And the woman and the husband were in pretty close agreement about when she was in the most pain. The obstetrician was wrong. He thought when she was pushing the baby out. And if you've seen somebody's face through pain, through sex, through a lot, you can read what's pain and what's just overwhelming,
right,
but not necessarily in the sense of pain. And the husbands are pretty good at knowing when their wives were in pain and when they weren't, as are midwives. But the obstetricians really didn't. They really didn't have a sense of it. And they do tend to think that that pushing thing hurts.